Welcome back, everybody. I want to welcome you back to Knicks Deli.
Deli edition.
I'm your host, Shea, and you already know we are first to many and second to no one when it comes to the news, team views, and the who's who connected to our New York Knicks. I want to thank you for joining me here for breakfast, baby. Let's serve this thing up. I'm hyped. I wanted to get on here real quick, man. Knicks Deli, we want to talk about this win last night, and we can only do it Knicks Deli style. So if you're here for the first time, I want to welcome you. I want to show you how this thing works. Here in Knicks Deli, there are 4 items that are on the menu. Okay, the first item on the menu is the bacon, egg, and cheese. Now everybody loves the bacon, egg, and cheese in New York, but there's 3 items that make that sandwich special. So we're going to look at who are the 3 elements, who are the 3 players on the New York Knicks last night, who together combined their contributions helped us get over the top. Next on the menu here in Knicks Deli is the dollar slice. And everybody knows that New York has the best pizza in the world. So we're going to talk about who is the dollar slice of the game, who provides that stable presence that allowed us to get the victory last night. Next item on the menu is the chopped cheese. Now the chopped cheese is relatively new to that New York menu, but that thing be busting. So we're going to look at whose contribution is relatively new that really helped us get over the top and beat the Pelicans last night. Now you can't have the chopped cheese, you can't have the dollar slice, you can't even have the bacon, egg, and cheese if you don't have anything to wash that thing down with. And here in Knicks Deli, we call that the quarter water of the game. So we're going to see who is the quarter water of the game. What player contributed in a particular quarter or a little bit over a period of 4 quarters to really help us wrap up this victory. And there's another thing on the menu. Okay? Sometimes around the game, somebody says something off. Sometimes during the game, somebody says something whack. And you don't want to straight up tell them to STFU. So you got to find another way to do it. And here in New York, we give them the Gizzy of the game.
Hey, yo!
Hey, yo is right. So we're going to figure out who gets the Gizzy of the game. After that, man, I'm just going to share my thoughts. Great victory. Great victory, but rock with me on this one and let's get to it. Here in Knicks Deli, baby, do me a favor, like this video ahead of time.
Deli edition.
Subscribe, share it up, and we about to do this thing, okay? Your New York Knicks are 18-10, baby. Come on. Your New York Knicks are 18-10. There was a little bit of nervousness at the start of the season, of course, but that's what happens when you have new players who are trying to mesh. New players who are trying to get accustomed to each other's style, who are trying to settle in their private lives after a trade, after being uprooted and positioned either in a situation where there's an expectation for you to win and to make a push. And that's the case for all the players that were involved in the trades. But it can become frustrating when you don't see it come together like it does on the video game, okay? But your New York Knicks are 18-10 going into this Christmas season. And you got to be happy about that. This game, a lot of people looked at and thought about. First, there's a potential to go on a little run. We have some teams that are very winnable games, okay? This was one of them. And you know, most Knicks fans, we think one or 2 ways. Either this is going to be a blowout or this is going to be a trap game, okay? So clearly, going into that first quarter, that's what it looked like. It really looked like this was going to be one of the trap games. Like, man, come off of a big, very, very impressive win in Minnesota, and now we're looking at this. Now we're looking at catching the L to the New Orleans Pelicans. I got to tell you, we looked out of rhythm in the first quarter. That was the first thing that came to mind. I'm like, damn, we look out of rhythm. There's a lot of turnovers. Both teams are playing sloppy. That's what kept my hope up. What kept my hope up was that I saw both teams playing sloppy basketball. But what gave me pause and concern was that they had some young bulls on that other team. And they looked like they wanted to get a victory. They looked like they wanted to, crip walk on the floor on us or whatever have you. So that was what was concerning to me, in addition to the early foul trouble that Cat got into. So I was just like, Yeah, I did get up a few times. I did some jumping jacks. I tried to do some push-ups. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm sitting here with my notepad, my pen and paper, and I'm like, good Lord, what are we going to be talking about tomorrow? But once again, with this team, if you don't know anything else, while Jalen Brunson has been on this team is that you're never out of the game. You know, he as a leader is going to keep you with your head in the game, stabilized, and his body language is going to be upbeat. He's going to be locked in with the coach. Coach is going to run through the tape in terms of coaching. We know that about Tom Thibodeau. So, and that all played out last night. Cat, before I just get into the menu, a couple of things stood out. With Cat being off, let me say this. With Cat being off last night, you looked at it like, oh man, you know, Cat, he's early foul trouble. He seems to be out of rhythm. We might be in trouble. And you're almost forgetting that Jalen Brunson is a superstar because of the run that Cat has been on all season. Cat has been playing MVP basketball, and Jalen Brunson has been playing well as well. But you almost forget the fact and all of the capabilities of Brunson because of what Cat has been doing and the fact that he's been new. It has almost overshadowed the superstar that we have at point guard. But last night, this mother flipper showed up and said, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Cat, okay? And that was no cap. Damn all of y'all, all right? So let me get into it. Who was the breaking egg and cheese of the game, all right? Who was one of three that really was the best part of this game? And we got to go with Cap since I'm talking about him. We got to go with our guy, Jalen Mother Flippin' Brunson. Round of applause for Captain Brunson. Jalen Brunson did not disappoint. Jalen Brunson dropped 39 points on these fools, 6 assists. You know, they were playing him very physical in the first quarter and the first half, to the point that he's looking at the refs like, yo, you really, what are we doing here? You really allowing this? You know, they was trapping him like crazy. It was one of those games where it's just like, if we don't adjust to what the referees are allowing the other team to do, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be in trouble. And what I loved about it was no matter how scrappy the New Orleans Pelicans looked, the Knicks kept it close. You know, they kept it close. And, you know, true to form, second half came. Okay. And I could see it towards the end of the first, whether it's with these floaters, his float game, he was getting in rhythm. He wasn't settling for just a three-pointer. He was picking apart his places on the floor. And I was just like, oh yeah, Brunson is on one if he can just get a few shots to fall. But I didn't expect what he did in the second half. He came out locked in. And one thing that you have to be reminded about with our point guard, what makes him a superstar is he doesn't only get riled up and attack when he smells blood. He is the person that causes the blood. He's a hunter. You know, he's an apex predator when it comes to being a player in this league. And that's what makes him stand out. And the fact that he does that in New York is what's going to keep him in superstardom, okay? It's what's going to keep him in superstardom. And with that in mind, he didn't disappoint. The man, I love the fact that, first off, he came out hitting tough shots. He's hitting tough shots in big moments. Okay, they're really playing, they continue to try to play him physical. And he's using his screens, he's using his picks, and he's making them pay. He's making them pay at a high clip. And what I love it is, the man continues to taunt him. I know what you're doing. I know what you're saying. I know you hoping for me to fail, but it's not happening tonight. I know you came here to root for your team, but it's not gonna work tonight. I'm on 1, 2, and I'm on 3, all right? And take that with you. You know, send that home with you as well. So I love that, man. For so many years, bro, we've had players come in and terrorize our squad because we didn't have the talent to keep up with them. It just feels good to be on the other side doing that to other teams. I don't want to just be hated because, see, we spent more than 20 years being hated and disrespected because we were terrible. I want to be hated and disrespected because we're terrorizing. I don't want to be hated and disrespected because we're terrible. That don't exist anymore. I want to be hated and disrespected because we terrorizing you fools. Dancing on you. okay? And that's exactly what Cap did last night, man. Tough shot maker, superstar reminder, three-point shooting is up there. He's taunting the crowd, couple of insane floaters. The man was just on point, and he took over in the second half. 13 straight points in the third quarter. Come on, what are we doing? He was like, I gotta remind you, because maybe you forgot. Maybe you forgot. So I love that as part of Jalen Brunson. Once again, just a breakout star, not a breakout star. He had a breakout moment to remind people of who he was. So the bacon of the game goes to Captain Brunson. Round of applause for our Captain, Big Bully Brunson. Next up, who gets the egg of the bacon, egg, and cheese? And the egg goes to his partner in grind, okay? McCall Bridges. Round of applause for McCall Bridges. Oh, you know what I enjoy every time I get an opportunity to celebrate this cat, because so many New York Knicks fans are just impatient, man. You were writing this brother off. This is his first season in the New York Knicks orange and blue jersey. And many of you were trying to come at me with the comments, but he's been in New York. You think Brooklyn is New York? You think Brooklyn is New York in terms of basketball, in terms of pressure, in terms of the eyes, in terms of the criticism? Come on, man. Come on, man. It's not. You know it's not. But this man continues to build on the foundation. He continued to work through the adversity, work through the kinks in his game. And there's so much that stood out, but we needed him last night, and he showed up. The man had 18 points. He had 2 assists. He was 7 of 16 field goal percentage. He was 3 of 6 from threes. The man got hot, bro. The man got hot. He is not hesitating with his jump shot anymore. Everybody talking about him changing his jump shot. Jump shot looked broken. The man is like, he doesn't even hesitate. He has a quick release. He has a quick release. And once he's open, he's putting it up. But also, 2 assists, 2 steals. He's showing signs of having settled in. He is settled in now. He knows at this point now it's just basketball. It's not the hoopla. It's not the fact that he's still torn, leaving the Nets and coming to the Knicks. It's not the fact that he's trying to fit in with the Nova Knicks now. None of that. It's not the fact that he's trying to focus on, just this adjustment in this new environment, and to say the word Knicks in a sentence, not the Nets. All of that is done. Is just basketball, and you could see his level of comfort. He is settled in, and I love that in terms of him. Also, the man is leading the league in plus minus. So offensively, he is where we were hoping for him to be. Doing your part, just playing the role, and then in certain moments when you have the capability of taking over, that's when you step up. Let's be truthful. That is what makes championship team contributors stand out in the annals of history. McCall Bridges, exactly what he's doing, exactly the type of game that he's playing right now. He brings energy. Once again, quick shot release, and he brings that little bit of swagger with him as well, man. And I love that. I love that. All of these Knicks are chirping. That level of confidence, collective confidence that they're displaying is you can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. You can't miss it. They're on something right now. They're on something right now. So the egg of the bacon, egg, and cheese goes to our guy, McCall Bridges. Round of applause for our guy, McCall Bridges. And lastly, who makes up the complete sandwich of the bacon, egg, and cheese? And who I'm going to give the cheese to today is our guy, OG Anunoby. Round of applause for our guy, OG Anunoby. Just a reminder, you're here at Knicks Deli. This is Knicks Deli Edition. Rundown of last night's game. OG Anunoby continues to make his case as Defensive Player of the Year. Okay? First and foremost, over his offense. His offense, to me, is just a plus, bro. It's icing on the cake. The man is so disruptive defensively. He is so New York, bro. He's so New York, and he's not the Oakley Surly. He's not the Patrick Ewing Surly, but he is the Kawhi Leonard, stone face. The deadpan face. I keep telling people he's like the funny Marco of the Knicks. And I love it. I love the weirdness. I love the awkwardness, man. We need that. These are the type of personalities that make up memorable moments of a championship season. You know what I mean? And you just got to be present in the journey. You got to be present on the drive. But last night, Anunoby was on one. He had 16 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. He continues to contribute in so many ways. He was so active defensively. His presence is absolutely felt. Whether he's being disruptive in passing lanes, he's getting hands on balls, whether he is not, if he's not blocking shots, and I believe he did have a block last night, he is changing shots. It's just beautiful to see, man. It really is beautiful to see. And I'm so happy to have that type of player on our team. And what gets lost many times is that he has championship experience. The man has absolutely played in the shadow of Kawhi Leonard. He's seen up close model. That's like, you know what? People will talk about Julius. Julius didn't get that good. He didn't get that level of work ethic had he not seen it in Kobe Bryant. It's a lot to be said about players who play next to greatness, who want to be great themselves. And we see that in OG Anunoby. So round of applause for the final piece of the bacon and the cheese. The cheese. OG Anunoby. Round of applause for our guy. Yeah, so next up on the menu, it's the dollar slice, okay? The dollar slice represents stability in New York. So we're going to talk about who is the dollar slice of the New York Knicks in their game last night against the Pelicans. And the dollar slice goes to our guy, Mr. Everything, Josh Hart. Round of applause for Josh Hart. It was good to see Josh Hart get back in the mix, man, and do what it is that he does. He does a little bit of everything well. But fortunately, he was off in last night's game. The night before, he was off in that game. And look, people will say what you will. That was a night off. That was a rest night off, okay? But the man was back in action, and he didn't disappoint. 14 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Come on, what are we doing? This is Josh. Things that stand out about Josh Hart, I love the fact that he's the best rebounding guard in the game. The man we have the best rebounding guard in the game on our team. And it's like poetry to watch. To me, it's like poetry to watch. And why I say that is, there are other guards, man, who are rebounding guards that I absolutely love to watch. One was Jason Kidd, bro. Jason Kidd when he came to us, the man was a dinosaur, bro. He was a dinosaur, but he was unafraid to get in there and rebound with the bigs. And we had physical bigs at the time that J. Kidd was playing, but J. Kidd was in there, always had a nose for the basketball. And you see that in Josh Hart. Josh Hart isn't afraid of physical contact. Josh Hart creates physical contact. But Josh Hart has a nose for the basketball. And I love every piece of it. Something else that I also notice is his confidence in his shooting. The man doesn't hesitate at all to take 3-pointers. And it doesn't always look smooth. It looks like it might hit the front of the rim. Sometimes it looks like a beeline. If you look at his release form, it's just a little bit awkward. It don't look like it gets the ball any rotation. But the man's confidence level in taking those shots when he has them is where you need it to be. And I think that comes from the connection that he has with the best player on the team. I think that comes from his professionalism, being on multiple teams. You will always like to attribute certain things to Jalen Brunson, but this man has earned his stripes in this league as well. And I absolutely love that and appreciate that. A couple of other things I appreciate about Josh Hart, given that we call him Mr. Everything. First off, his ball handling ability. There's a lot of times that he really relieves the pressure on the point guards to bring the ball up the field. It allows us to get into our rotations, to get into our sets when he gets the ball up the field, up the court. But also his ability to go downhill, and finish around the rim. I don't think we talk about enough. When the defense is on their heels and Josh Hart has the ball, he's making them turn and twist, and he has the most, beautiful, ugly Euro step. The ugly finishes around the rim, the physical finishes. And the man is he hits the floor close to the same amount as Allen Iverson did. But I think that's something that we take for granted because we see it every night. We absolutely see it every night, And then with the number of times the man hits the floor, his durability, I mean, we can't talk about it enough. So I feel super excited to be able to give the dollar slice to our guy, Mr. Everything, Josh Hart. Put some respect on that man. Round of applause for Josh Hart. So next on the menu is the chopped cheese. Now the chopped cheese is relatively new to that New York menu, but that thing be bussin'. So what is the player? Who is the player on the team or the element of the team that's relatively new but make that thing bussin'? And I'm not gonna go player this time. I'm gonna go on our radio crew, okay? We go with Mike Breen and Jamal Crawford. Round of applause for Mike Breen and Jamal Crawford. Yes. Listen, man, it is a joy to listen to them. Although last night's game was on, I think when I was watching it on NBA TV. And I was watching it, and when you watch it on NBA TV, you hear the Pelicans broadcasters. And I'm going to get to that as well. But Mike Breen and Jamal Crawford on the microphone is just as smooth as Clyde. Now, no disrespect to Clyde. Nobody can beat Clyde. But it looks like Clyde is transitioning away from the microphone. I didn't even know Jamal Crawford had this capability. But he watches the game. His timing with Breen is very, very sharp. He knows when to be quiet. I mean, there was a game, I don't know if it was last night's game or the game prior, but they talked about the loss of a longtime statistician. I think it was the night prior. And Breen actually laid out his commentary and his words on the guy. And the strongest thing that Crawford could do was say nothing. He say nothing. It's kind of like you let the moment breathe. And I don't know if that was rehearsed, whether it was or whether it wasn't. It just showed the level of respect and awareness that Crawford brings to the table. And he sees the game a different way as a player of recent generations. So to have that with Clyde's view and Breen being that steadying, focus, it's been awesome to listen to. So I'm super happy that he is in the fold. I hope he's in the fold for many years to come. And definitely wanted to give the chopped cheese to Jamal Crawford and Mike Breen. Round of applause for our chopped cheese of this game. Jamal Crawford, Mike Breen, TV team. Now, you can't have the chopped cheese. You can't have the dollar slice. You can't have the bacon, egg, and cheese, and none of the food if you ain't got nothing to wash that thing down with. So we have the quarter water, okay? And the quarter water of the game goes to our defense. Our defense, ladies and gentlemen, no matter what you hear people talk about, the defense shows improvement. The defense has shown great timing in showing up when it needs to. There was a sequence last night where it looked like, I think now they actually have training and practice for college students where people who are playing defense are connected by a string. And that kind of helps them know if they're in the right position they need to be in while going through sets. There was a sequence where the New York Knicks had to switch on defense, and it was flawless last night. It was flawless. And and it's great to watch it on TV because you can see it move. You know, it's almost like if it was on the video game and if they had the highlights, the guides. But our defense, ladies and gentlemen, is getting to the point where I would say by after the All-Star break, it will catch up with our offense. And then that's when it's going to be problematic for the league. And in connection to last night, the defense came up with timely stops. So I'm going to say that the quarter water of the game is the defense. Well, part of that, I'm going to throw my guy Jericho Sims in there. Round of applause for Jericho Sims. Because you know the man hears the disrespect. You know he hears the disrespect. He be watching social media like, this bitch. I know he be saying that about us fans. But listen, man, Jericho Sims, whether it was rebounding the basketball, being actively in there fighting for rebounds, rim protection, people going up there knowing like, listen, I'm gonna have to adjust my shot or change my shot because this ninja gonna block my shot, and going high for rebounds when nobody else can reach him. Jericho Sims is making incremental progress. Everybody's quick to put him in the trade and want to get him out of here. You know, people are hitting me up on my page talking about, oh, he's the most terrible player. Listen, first off, I hope you don't discard of your children that way. And it probably was the same people that was glazing RJ and IQ the same way. The one thing the New York Knicks have really done well has really been able to develop the players that they've had and not listen to fans, allow them to go through their rotations, allow them to figure it out. Now, it has been a number of years since we've had Jericho, but you don't realize that Jericho was like number 55. Yeah, like he was a top player like an RJ. Yeah, like he was a top, as high of a seed as an IQ. Thinking we got IQ in the 20s. So this man was completely raw, and for him to be where he is now, just to develop defensively and awareness-wise and his level of confidence, him being more of an introverted type of player, it really showed his impact last night. And he's the type of player that we're going to need in terms of bodies. What we got to keep in mind is this team is not on injuries are not off on this NBA season like it does on a video game. We can't turn injuries off and expect to have our players night in and night out. So when you do get people in, you need a big body like Jericho. He's not only a big body, but he's a big body with leaping ability, and he's more defensive leaning. Come on, man. I mean, without Jericho, where would we be once Mitch is down? Where would we be? Just a chewer by himself? Come on, bro. So round of applause right now for the quarter water of the game. The New York Knicks defense and Jericho mother flipping Sims. Now, last item on the menu food-wise is going to have to go to. The last item on the menu food-wise is what we call the Gizzy of the game. Gizzy. Ooh, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Glizzy of the game, goddammit. Glizzy of the game goes to the New Orleans commentary team. Oh, they were glazing. They were glazing those cats last night. Every time the Knicks were struggling and down, they were glazing their players. They wouldn't even take a moment to breathe, boy. They were going in, bro. They were going in. So once the New York Knicks started to come back, the attitudes have changed now. The attitudes has changed now. You don't got no glaze on that donut anymore. So the Glizzy of the game goes to the New Orleans announcing team. Oh yeah, don't spit it on the carpet. So that brings us to the end of our menu here at Knicks Deli. First off, do me a favor, like the video. It's going to be quick. Subscribe, share with somebody. Make sure you have that notification bell on so you know every time I'm dropping a new video. But what I want to do is just tie it all up with the nah, son, nah, you wildin' moment of the game.
Nah, son, nah, you
wildin'. And that's when we look at a certain point of the game or something around the game that makes you look at the screen sideways and go, nah, son, nah, you wildin'. Okay? And that moment for me is just the Tibbs criticism. All right? Last night, yes, there were 3 players who had to play 40 plus minutes. Okay? But what I love about last night's game, and I appreciated about Tibbs leaving those players in, having to play those minutes, is that Tibbs really sees the flow of the game. And he also sees the personality of the game. And let me explain what I mean by the personality of the game. The personality of the game, you saw those young bulls out there. They were scrapping. They really were unrelenting in the first half, and they were hitting shots. They were making some shots that other teams would feel deflated by. All right, they weren't hitting them at a high clip, but their activity, getting long rebounds, that was there. Okay. And I think Tibbs knew he had to keep his veterans in who knew not to get flustered, who knew, you got to continue to play through, continue to stick to the game plan. And I think that's what he did. What we have to come to terms with as a New York Knicks fan base is that there's going to be games like this. There's going to be games where somebody comes out and punches us in the mouth because they want to make a name on ourselves. The more we win and the more accolades that we get, the more we become a target. The more the New York Knicks become a target, and we get the best game from every team every night. So we would like to look at certain games and say, oh, we're going to be on a 7-game winning streak. Oh, that's an easy win. When you think about those Golden State Warrior teams, and you think about those Cleveland Cavaliers teams, and you think about the Milwaukee Bucks or whoever was a champion, when you become a champion or you start playing at the elite level, you get the other team's best game every night. Everybody wants to take a shot at the crown of the champ. Everybody wants to knock off the big bad bully. So you have to expect that teams come out. You can't sit there and be like, oh, same old Knicks. Here we go again, Knicks. No, do you know who you are now? That's the thing. Fans don't realize who we are now. And some can argue that the team doesn't realize. I think the team does. That's why the coach continues to play the way he does. Go back to all of the Chicago teams where he had them boys rolling over everybody else. You can see the same thing. That's his MO. But there's a reason why a coach like Tibbs, who was known like as a dinosaur 5 years ago, is still playing and being successful in this generation of basketball. Let him cook. Let him be him. And he was able to read the personality of the game. And that's why he kept those 3 starters in, for continuity, for veteran calm, and the ability to be able to lock in and hit big time shots. So trust is at an all-time high. And right now at this moment, Tibbs don't trust the bench. He doesn't trust what he sees in them right now. That doesn't mean it's always going to be the case. They know they're going to have to earn that. But for him to leave those 3 starters in, I think he feels as if they may have dug us in a hole that we couldn't overcome. All right? And I think he may have placed that charge on those starters. Listen, finish this up. I need you to have it's the mental stamina. It's the mental focus. It's that Kobe Bryant focus, that 81-point scoring game focus that he sees this team. That desire to win at any cost is there. So stop criticizing it. Stop being the couch potato coach and let that man cook and let him show you what they're capable of. All right. And next thing, get out and vote. Everybody get out and vote. 3 times a day, 1 time a day, vote for your team. We sitting here enjoying this New York Knicks team. We're talking about their greatness. I hate the fact that we really put in effort. We live in the largest city in the world, and we can't overwhelmingly get our guys in. We got to wait for coaches to vote our people in. And I know it's going to happen again this year, but it sucks, man. So get out and vote for our guys to the All-Star game. And one last thing I want to end this note on. Karl Anthony Towns, entitled to have an off night, and he did last night. Got into some early foul trouble, and he had an off night. But this man, I'm so sorry. I don't know if I could apologize enough. I don't know if I can apologize enough, Karl Anthony Towns. Bro, I had zero idea. Karl Anthony Towns right now is averaging 25 points, 14 rebounds a game. I have never seen a player on the New York Knicks average 14 rebounds in my lifetime. That's crazy. That's crazy. And you know what? I saw a stat that said this man is the first player in the NBA to do that since Moses Malone. Since Moses Malone, bro. Come on, bro. Out on our team. Stop playing with this kid. Stop playing with him. And I saw another note, somebody else, shout out to Reddit. Somebody on Reddit said that's a higher number than Shaq averaged in any season in his career. In any season in his career. Put some respect on that man's name. Enjoy this season, bro. Something special is happening in New York City. Enjoy it and take notes. Because everybody who's saying something disparaging, everybody that makes a little sly comment, everybody who says the New York Knicks are not a contender and will not win something, we want to circle back. We want to circle the block on block.
We spinning the block.
We want to spin the block on those haters and remind them, whether it's out there in the real world or here in these YouTube streets, here in Knicks Deli, everybody eats. I'm your host, Shit, and I'm out. Peace.